What's going on, everybody? Week 3 NFL season, full slate. Obviously, let's get after it. Have a lot of bets that I already took. We got a lot of boosts to use, so should have a fun day here. Give me a second right now to get the promo out. 3 best bets. All right, boys. We have a lot of stuff that I already played. A lot of stuff to also go over for today. 12 seconds right here to get my promos out so everybody hops in. And let's do it. So, obviously, always early disclaimer when we're this close to game time. Obviously, a lot of the EV has been sucked out, especially in the game line market, but in the prop market, there's definitely some spots that we can attack. On stream Wednesday, went through a bunch of plays that we liked Wednesday and Friday. And today, I had locked in some of them. So let's go through some of the best bets that I have for this current week right now. Let's see what numbers are still there. I think most of them, I bet a lot of them this morning. A lot of the numbers are still there. So let's do it here. So first and foremost, I'll talk about like all games. We'll go kind of game by game here. Bengals Vikings. Obviously the Browning Wentz nonsense, not going to go too deep into breaking down. Everybody knows the backups here. Whether Brian Flores can shut down Browning, though, of course, there is some, love for what Browning can do. Like he played well in his time in 2023. The Bengals are obviously very confident in him. All the reports are, saying that they expect him to be still good. And I think that's actually all true. And it's actually giving us some more value here on a touchdown prop for Ja'Marr Chase. Obviously Ja'Marr is stud and Joe Burrow does like lower his ceiling a little bit, of course, but the odds that we're getting now at this point for Ja'Marr are just like, you can't ignore them, honestly. Where's Chase? Plus 160 here at DraftKings. Fanatics actually the best odds at 165, though not many people have them. But in one of the ghost leg parlays, in the ghost leg DraftKings parlay, I added this Chase plus 160. Let's just can't deep link there. But I think Ja'Marr is more than live. And this is a player, right, who obviously with Burrow, it's a much different situation. But this is somebody whose, numbers are sitting at like even money situations when, the Bengals are right, like plus 105, minus 105, sometimes even as low as like minus 120. And of course, it is a tough defense with Flores. But the Bengals have the utmost confidence in Browning. And the line has actually been creeping back toward Cincinnati here. Let's take a look at the market. Obviously, if we go back, we'll see a ton of big time movement on the pricing because of the injuries that came in. But as we're creeping a little bit closer to game time here, we're focusing on circa. The the Vikings are taking some money, as you can clearly see. Like looking at some of the timing here, we can get even more granular with it. As the seconds are ticking, went from plus 138 to plus 150. But I think the Vikings should win. But this total also as well. We'll pull up some of the totals. They are relatively low. I just don't think Browning is like going to be bad. This did shoot up a little bit to the 42.5 range. But then when it goes back to Ja'Marr Chase and the props, like that just gives more value on a guy like Ja'Marr Chase, who's obviously an absolute dog. And let me pull up some numbers from 2023 here on my other monitor. I'll share it over just to kind of show you what Chase was still looking like, even though some of those starts were manned by Browning. Because it really wasn't like he could like from like even like a fantasy perspective, and now of course translating to a player prop perspective, like Browning can support players playing well here. So let me pull up Ja'Marr still that year with a bunch of games started by Browning. Still a 1,200 yard year, still 145 targets, 100 receptions. Let me filter even deeper now to Jake Browning starts, and we'll make sure that we only look at the games where he started. That being said, 2023 was a big year for him. He played, what weeks was it? It was weeks 10 through 18, so to end the season there. So let's advanced filter this here on FTN. We can go 10, 11, 12. Tyler Boyd was leading there, but just like that, Ja'Marr Chase still just in those weeks, still good in target share, 13. Chase again leading in targets, leading in receptions. These are all like Jake Browning starts. So I think you guys get the point here. Don't need to click into everything at this point because uh, this is just giving value to Jamar Chase anytime. Yes, tough defense, but like also an injured defense. So it's not like the Vikings D's looks like anything they did last year, which you could throw the ball on them. We are getting some value here with the odds on DraftKings. This MGM 105 is honestly cracking me up. Like if only they had the balls to put like an under number there with that. Of course, they clearly don't, and like for obvious reasons, are not a book that's ever going to do that. But for this game right now, Jamar Chase touchdown again. I put it in the ghost leg parlay, so it's something that I like for that like fun ghost legger. Um, I'm in on Jamar Chase, but I want to take a look at some first touchdowns for this one. Maybe we'll lock something in, maybe not. We're not going to have a bet on every game. Obviously, we have a bunch of games that I have like a lot stronger opinions on with like a much better plays. Like this is just one parlay here. Just gonna look at like some Chase Brown, like no EV. We're of course looking for EV. I'll go through my actual EV filters, but for some of this stuff, I like to just look like one on one here. T plus 220, plus 225. I'm obviously not leaning. I played Jamar, so I like Jamar in this matchup. The flip side, we could look at like Jeddah's. Like the thing is, like obviously KOC has all like the well-deserved like credit for being somebody who's going to elevate a crappy quarterback like a Carson Wentz. We know what he did with Josh Dobbs. We know what he did with Nick Mullins. Obviously, Sam Darnold last year. Even JJ McCarthy through one quarter, if you want to say that. But I don't want to be, blinded by how bad Carson Wentz is at football. Like the thing is, you could probably say the same things, especially about a guy like Josh Dobbs. Nick Mullins had always been like serviceable backup, but he was with Shanahan, so like to some extent, you do caveat that a little bit. But Carson Wentz is horrible. Jeddah's at 135 at ESPN actually has some EV. So if you're gonna you look to bet Jeddah's, this is pretty good price compared to Novig, Circa, FanDuel as well, bookmaker Penny. So like pretty good price on ESPN for Jeddah's anytime. Obviously like the two obvious cats in this game, Jeddah's and Chase, but the backups are providing a little bit more value for both of these players. That's like what's Wentz anytime out of curiosity. 750. I mean 820 over here at Bet Safe. I'm not betting any Carson Wentz anything, but let's look at some of his props. I just want to know what the numbers are, like what the market is anticipating. Obviously, a lot of like a ton of question marks here, but 210. I'm inclined to be like no shot in hell. I know Aaron Jones is obviously out, though Jordan Mason has looked good this season, and KOC himself, not he's going to talk crap about a player or anything like that, but he himself said like, we have utmost, confidence in what Mason can do. And so far we've seen it. Like he has looked very good this season, has produced, but I don't know. At this point, it's just like Carson Wentz, man. Like Circa's hanging at 12.5, right? So that's like Circa's, that's a number to I guess anchor onto a little bit there at Circa. FanDuel at 206. So there is pretty good discrepancy there between some of the Rex and from, obviously Circa sharper book. When it comes to props, though, you could make an argument that some other places might be a little bit better, but I don't know. That seems really high, honestly, for Carson Wentz. Like again, I know KOC obviously has the weaponry in Justin Jefferson, but that seems like too much. But in this game, I was definitely thinking that the Vikings Flores versus Browning could be the huge mismatch here. I have no bet on the game line or the total, the money line spread or total here. Only thing I have is Chase touchdown in the ghost leg lay. So I'm going to move on from this one. Not really a ton more to add. With that being said, speaking of like things we're going to be doing on stream today, we of course going through every game, but we have boosts on FanDuel, DraftKings, we have parlay boosts, we have no sweats, we have ghost legs, we have just regular anytime bet, like any straight bet boosts we have as well on FanDuel. Actually, have a couple of no sweats as well. So we're going to be utilizing all of those. I have played a bunch of stuff. Of course, I'll talk about everything I played when we are getting there and see what prices are still playable and building out some fun, hopefully bangers. We had a fantastic week one, a pretty solid week two. Monday Night Football for week two was amazing. Thursday night this week for week three was a tough one. But that's all in the game with the variance. It's been a really great NFL season so far, all using Pick the Odds to help us find the best EV in the market there. So Moving on, Jets Buccaneers. Obviously we know the Buccaneers injury report is disgusting. So many guys are hurt. It's a very unfortunate situation for Tampa with what they're dealing with on the O line. We saw the Igbuka nonsense as well. And I'm going to get underdog on my other tab going just in case we need to see some injury news at any point quickly here. McCarthy expected to run in week 7. Interesting. Kirk Cousins currently not showing any trade interest. I'm not shocked by that. Back to the task at hand here, though. I like the Jets. I like the Jets in the spread. I can't speak against the spread plus 6.5, and I wish I got that 7, which is long gone here. 7.5, not paying this extra pricing though. There is some EV at Hard Rock at 135. But the Jets plus 6.5 still. So obviously Tyrod is going for the Jets. The Tampa Bay is undoubtedly a better football team. Tampa Bay, of course, coming off a little bit of shorter week there, playing on Monday. Jets coming off getting destroyed by Buffalo in a game where a lot of people, myself included, ended up betting on the Jets. That market moved, and this one did as well, but hasn't really moved too much since then. But all things considered, right, with how the Buccaneers are playing, they beat a very good Texans team, which was great. They barely skated by against the Falcons team that does look like a good team. So, Tampa Bay is undoubtedly the better team here. They're 6.5-point favorites. Especially with Tyrod. But I think the Jets could actually be one of the bigger pull off an upset in this one. Looking at some touchdown stuff here. I was looking at GW again, very obvious guys looking at so far this week, but it seems like to me there just are some pretty good overall prices here. Fanatics 240, 228 at Novig is great. That's over 2K liquidity also compared to Circa's 210 there. 220 at Bookmaker. I don't Tyrod. It's hard to know what we're going to expect. Obviously, he has some mobility to him. He has been a very serviceable player in his entire career, but he also is somebody who takes a ton of sacks. Has a pretty bad pressure to sack ratio. Though he is mobile, I just think Tampa they just don't have the dogs on offense. I think this could be a much slower pace, lower scoring game. Their offensive line is just so banged up, and I know that they did well against the Texans pass rush last week, which was one of the best in football, and the Jets obviously aren't at that level yet. But now they're down 2 more key starters. That's just so hard to overcome. Probably borderline gets it insurmountable because they're playing the Jets, and I'm talking about how I think the Jets could actually be a live dog here. But no, I think that the Jets are totally alive. And being that the Jets are 6.5-point dogs, I definitely think there could be some value on some first touchdowns for the Jets because I think that they could win this game regardless. Of course, the team that scores the first touchdown doesn't necessarily mean they win, but you'll get some more value betting on some first touchdowns for the team that is a massive dog. And just right here, the 16-1 at ESPN for GW. I'm very intrigued by that. Let me just keep looking at some other guys because if Brees is, this 8-1 is pretty solid. We know the Tampa Bay Bucks run D is still going to be solid regardless, and we have years of kind of data there with the Todd Bowles and Vita Vea and how good they are. So not a ton of unknowns there. Jets offensive line also is probably we saw in week 1, probably better than expected here. There's just not a lot of options. Let me pull up FTN as well quickly here. Excuse me, and let's see some of the Jets usage for this year so far. Because I think it could just be simple as G-Dub has good price, especially compared to Circa, and he obviously I like GW to score. I think it's kind of a situation for the alpha males right there, the alpha dogs to go in there and score some points. Let's see. Let's go. We have receiving here at GW, of course, most targets by a landslide. Brees right there in second. But I want to take a look at usage as well and look at some usage and opportunities. So Brees Hall, of course, leads in opportunities by a landslide, and then it's GW right behind him. GW, of course, leading the snap count, snap charge there, yards receiving. If we're looking at, we're not looking at rushing here because if we did, we would add that to what we see. So that's 33% for Brees Hall, 15% for GW. And then the other Jets, it's Tyler Johnson, Mason Taylor. Like you're talking about guys who again have like 3 targets on the entire season. Um, so this should be like a force feed, honestly. GW scored the first touchdown week 1. I do kind of like Brees. I'm gonna check the prices of some Buccaneers because there could be some. Like, what's Bucky gonna be? Like 500, 550 is pretty solid compared to Circa at least. Let's see. I just out of curiosity, some Bucks. Like, what's Baker? 25 to 1, same price as Circa, so we're not gonna get any value there. Like Luke is hurt. Mike Evans, though, we got, of course, Sauce potentially, trying to do the lockdown clamps there, which is again, it could really hurt this Buccaneers offense. Like, really, how are you going to move the football? If the Jets run D can play well and they can hone it on Evans, like really going to be a struggle for Tampa Bay to move the ball. That's also assuming like competence from the Jets, which is not often the best thing to do here. Kate Otten, I'm gonna look at Tampa Bay on FTN and I'll switch the screen over there because we know how they also funnel, and Otten has been on the field a lot. I'm pretty sure just hasn't been seeing the rock a ton. Let's see here. We have 19 targets for Mike, 13 for Emeka, 10, and I'm with 7. So he is definitely. I mean, it's in 2 games, so it's not a ton, obviously. Opportunity percent only 5%. Snap rates are high. He is on the field very, very often there. So, like, do we want to look so far down the board is the question. I don't think you would have to with kind of how this game's set up. I think even at where'd it go here? Even at like 8 to 1 for a first touchdown, like it's not the sexiest thing in the world, but especially because we're getting better prices than Novig, Circa, and Bookmaker. I actually think this Brees first touchdown. Let's see if they have Deep Link for this here. No, but I'll pull up DK and confirm that pricing. PTO is always great with the pricing on things like this that are pregame. So I know that those odds will be there, but let's see, because I think this is going to be the first touchdown I bet. Obviously for first tutties, I shouldn't say obviously, but like it's much more fun when you're betting some like really crazy odds. But in this situation here, like 8 to 1 just seems good for like the guy. Yeah, I bet this on my phone. Always have location problems, so I just do it on here. But no, that's the best price currently. I don't know if you have Play Now Sports. Anybody? I think it might be a Canadian book, but they have the best odds if you have it there. But looking at the rest of the market average of 665. And also situationally, like the usage is like off the charts here. So I'm going with Brees Hall. For a first touchdown right here. Beautiful. Okay. Let's move on to the next game. But again, if you're putting a gun to my head and saying you have to bet this game, give me the Jets. Give me the Jets with the points. Give me the Jets potentially to pull off the massive upset. And Brees Hall anytime. I like Garrett Wilson anytime. Brees Hall first though, based on those odds and situational. I think that's definitely a very good bet. So again, we're talking about a first tutty, so don't get me wrong when I'm saying like good bet. Like I think it has value, and I am in on it at that point. With a game script, I think could actually definitely favor New York, where they could get out to win this game. So let's go, Brees. Let's move on to the next one. So we covered Vikings Bengals, fan of Jamar Chase in this one, and then Jets Bucks, Brees Hall, G-Dub. Kind of keep it pretty simple there. Jets points, etc. Texans Jags, a lot of flip flopping on this money line market. Let's pull it up here. Let's look at the history here from Circa. So opening up, basically Jaguars getting a big bump. Then we had a massive decrease. Then we had almost a full flip on the odds for the money line, and then just now, right before stream, actually, or in the beginning of stream, a pretty significant drop in the odds on both ways here. So market is really kind of like in a coin flip situation for this Jaguars Texans. Like definitely people who are digging the Texans and what they're doing, and definitely some people in the market who are pushing back on that and are liking the Jaguars. I think this is a potential stone cold under game. I think there's a very high possibility that these teams, Jaguars defense, I think is a little bit underrated at this point. Not saying that they're like elite or anything like that, but I think they are like actually pretty solid. Texans defense, as we know, is good, and the market has agreed because this was 44.5, which is the key number, and now we're down to 43.5, which is not as low as I think, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see like a 17-13 type of game between these two teams. But with that being said, I did see some value on a touchdown in this one, and it's kind of an ugly one at this point, considering like if this was last year, everyone would probably be salivating to bet it. There's EV directly from my EV filters, which we'll take a run through a few times in the course of next hour plus here. Where is he? BTJ. We all know what's going on with BTJ. A phantom wrist injury. He doesn't look like he wants to take contact in the middle of the field, which I talked about on stream. It's like on one hand, we can all sit here on our couches and computers like criticizing that, but that shit probably hurts. But either way, yeah, you're an NFL player. That's what you signed up for. But I'm pulling up DraftKings here because this plus 180, as you see, best in market, 1.1% expected ROI there. Fair to Circa, Novig, FanDuel, Bookmaker, Penny. So in the ghost leg lay, I have BTJ and Ja'Marr Chase in that. So I think this could be a Brian Thomas bounce back. I don't think he's cooked by any means. And another thing that is worth noting about BTJ is when you go to opportunity percentage of all players, not just receivers, this is in receiving, but still, this is all players, like running backs included. He actually is the 13th player in opportunity percentage, and he's the first running wide receiver in total opportunity percentage as well. So what that is telling us is that, yeah, the numbers haven't been there. Yeah, like the drops have been egregious, and like again, shying away from contact, all of that. Like, I'm not going to pretend to speak to that, but what this means is they're feeding him the football. So that being considered, if it was an injury or if it was just like, a conversation that they talked about in camp I should say in practice this past week, like BTJ, again, we're talking about a guy with 19 targets already this year, only 5 catches. That's like ridiculous. And like, is it a much bigger problem? Like kind of I want to say sweeping under the rug because, they're not going to put their superstar, wide receiver and like kind of, talk shit about him in public and make it like a thing that like he's, like calling him out essentially. We all know the talent, like that's nowhere near a debate there. So, I'm all in on a BTJ touchdown. I bet it. It's in my ghost leg parlay as well with Mr. Ja'Marr Chase, and we'll get to that third leg there. We've hit one in both weeks so far, so hopefully we hit another one today. But let's look at some firsts because there could be some value here as well. 950. I mean, it's best in market, but I would want that to be closer to 10-1. Jags obviously favored, though. It's 1 point spread here. That's Nick Chubb. 750. Yeah, no thanks. Nico 800. Kind of no thanks as well. Let's see. De'Ami Brown. He's been getting a lot of opportunities, but again, like I don't want to see these odds to be like a lot better. Honestly, this 20-1 is pretty good at ESPN just because I do think there's a potential that this is a very low scoring game. And obviously that means somebody will score the first touchdown. It could just simply be the chalk. But yeah, like 950. I would want that to be at least 10-1, even though this is best in market, right? And like it's probably still worth it to a degree. I mean, we do have a DraftKings have the no sweat today. I think I used it already though, and we'll talk about what I used that on. Did I use it? Oh, I did use it on something fun, which we'll get to shortly. A long shot out of long shots. Don't get me wrong. We're talking about a no sweat, but I took a long ass shot. But I'm actually like EV is EV, so I don't want to overthink things a little bit. Like it's 950. Don't love, but like I will bet, which I just did. I bet BTJ first tutty as well as anytime in that lay. Let me just write some of this stuff down as well. 921. BTJ/FTD, and then Brees TD. That's some stuff that like I'm adding in on live, and I had some plays that I bet already that we've talked about on Stream Friday, but are getting to and diving into more. But yeah, back to this game. Put a gun to my head. I do think the Texans win. I think there is some value there. Again, but I do think this could be a stinker with in terms of scoring points, especially if the Brian Thomas thing continues to linger. Texas defense is so legit, and their offense could actually be like as bad as some of the worst teams in football. Like it already is that bad in some respects, and I think it's not like a crazy sentiment to believe that it's just like only getting worse and like, or I should say not like getting worse, but just like there's no like room. Let me rephrase that. There's a ton of room for improvement, but like whether or not it's going to happen, I think at this point I'm pessimistic about any rapid changes anytime in the near future. So move on to the next game, like an under there, gun to head, Jaguars as well. But we'll talk about stuff that I did bet. Falcons, Panthers. Let's go here. I was a little bit flip-flopped here just because like my numbers showed value on Carolina at 5.5, and now it's 4.5. It's definitely showing you know, it's kind of like agreeing that the Panthers might be the right side here. I was big on Atlanta coming into the season. I was like bullish on Carolina, like not like, oh, they're gonna like turn it around, be like a playoff team, but I was like, I don't think they're gonna be like in the weeds of the NFL anymore. No, they're still definitely in the weeds. They're bad. And then it's like, okay, like how good is Atlanta? Are they still gonna be the same kind of team that like, as we know, they love to just choke away games and just like botch and do like, you know, make bad decisions down the stretch, like their defense gonna unravel, like etc. But like right now, it's hard to like believe that. It's like they look like a really good football team. Like went to Minnesota and won, missed field goal away from going to OT against the Bucks, and the Bucks are like probably the fourth best team in the NFC, right? Like Eagles, Packers, Rams, Tampa, Detroit, Washington. Like Tampa, Detroit is more of a debate. Washington definitely below probably both of them realistically. But digressions aside here, I actually think the Falcons are going to spank them now. I didn't bet anything here because again, it goes against my numbers. So like I kind of want to wait and see. We are seeing the 5.5s back. Did we see any? We have a bunch of 4.5s though. I think that though this is definitely like a Carolina, excuse me, an Atlanta spot. I bet a money line lay. I have the Falcons as one of those legs. I'll also have the Jets as one of those legs as well. Again, it's a money line lay with like two more teams. It's like 13-1, I want to say, maybe a little bit higher. Let me see what it was. It was where'd it go? It is yeah, 13 plus 1369. I'll talk about the other legs when we get there, but yeah, Falcons money line, Jets money line. I'm all on the Falcons, but let's look at some props. Panthers D has been pretty good. I just think that like Penix is like actually just like a dog. And then obviously Bijan can just like go run rampant here. Let's guess. I haven't looked yet. Bijan's anytime I'm going to guess is minus 185. That's my guess. Somehow worse. Close though. 190 at circa. So close there. No 195 here at DK, 250 at MGM. That's just scamming there. Novik 177 with decent liquidity for something like this. But yeah, not betting any. Bijan was his first plus 450, if even. Yeah, plus 355. Yeah, come on. Definitely probably happening. But I'm not betting that. And what was 2+? I should have looked while I was there, but we'll bounce back and forth here. 2+ plus 255, man. And like I get it, but this is what I talked about on stream. It's like we know that they love Allgeier, and the snaps aren't as close as you'd think they'd be, considering how like Allgeier steals the touchdowns. I'll pull it up on FTN just to get a better picture of like opportunities for Atlanta, because it really is all Bijan. But Allgeier is not in the mix. This is Rasheed. Let me get rushing up and I'll share my screen. 99 snaps for Bijan, 38 for Allgeier, 26 attempts, 34 attempts. So like the attempts are actually a lot not as big of a drop off between the snap count. Bijan, of course, third down receiving threat. Absolute dog. Enough said there. But red zone, 6 red zone carries to 7, 2 goal line, 2 goal line. I guess I know Bija Algier scored last week. I guess it wasn't from 2 yards, which is but FTN's goal line is there. The goal line carry, so they both, I guess, were stuffed there at the 2, but did score last week. Bijan without a rushing touchdown. It's so crazy because like Bijan is him, but I don't know. Especially if this game does get out of hand. Um, it is the 1-2, and like that means like of course Algier will be back there. 260 over here at 365. This but I don't know Canada. Like I've been trying to like get it off. It just somehow just lingering. But it looks like 365 is the best price at 260. I think it's another one of those where like potentially Bijan, I think both could score realistically, but and this was also 240 on stream the other day, which is still consistent with FanDuel and Bookmaker. So just wrote that down there. I like Algier touchdown. Like I think that it's going to be another one of those frustrating, like, oh, like Bijan's going to turn up and have 355 yards from scrimmage, but Algier's going to score the touchdown. I see that absolutely happening there. I wouldn't go as far as for first though, because I think the first is going to be reserved for some of the more well-known guys. But let's look at London anytime. 159 at Novig, so 170 at points bet if you're in Canada. Not enough EV, but I think London is definitely live to score based on the game profile. But looking for some potential EV here, like Ray. No, I don't want Ray. Who? Let's go back to FTN quickly on my other monitor. Targets here. Drake London, of course, so he hasn't done a ton with them. Kyle Pitts, Bijan, then Ray. But Mooney is back and healthy. He dropped the touchdown last week. I think it could be a Mooney spot, but these odds on Ray are actually like pretty intriguing. I'm not gonna lie, especially this 480 with pretty decent liquidity at Profit X here. 480 liquidity there. But what's Darnell? 280, 291. So not in love with the odds. I think odds wise it could be Ray, but let me filter FTN to week 2 here to get a better picture. Week 2, Ray had no catches, only 2 targets. Darnell 2 receptions on 4 targets. Who played 84% of the snaps. So okay, that makes a lot more sense as to why those odds are like so shifted, because Darnell fully took over for Ray when Darnell back in that mix there. What's Mr. Pitts at? Because I was looking at Pitts on stream Friday. I'll have the numbers written down. I didn't end up betting it just yet. I saw him looking at Pitts for receptions, actually. He had 5 targets, 4 receptions last game, and that was a game where Penix barely threw the football. They would just let Bijan run rampant, and this could be a similar situation like that because the Panthers' run D is abysmal, though their defense overall has been a little bit better. I might go for a first. The odds are telling me, but I'm intrigued by Pitt's first touchdown, also by receptions. 3.5, -104 here at FanDuel. I kind of like this. A good amount. I think Pitts actually looks like a good football player this year. He's still young, of course, but he's been, showing like more athleticism, which I think is like very encouraging. And the way that they're using him is a lot better as well. Also has like from EPA metrics, like he's been their best target, best EPA player on their team, even better than Bijan. But like, I mean, he's obviously not better than Bijan. Air yards, like his air yards are pretty low, but that's like not a bad thing because we just care about his targets. So I'm actually looking at just week 2. Let me look at the full season here. Drake London 132, Pitts only 66, which I like because they're just like kind of getting him the football when they can, which is like fine for a receptions prop. I kind of like Kyle Pitts over. I'm gonna write it down, Pitts, because I wrote it down on stream, but the price is like about where it was. So Pitts 4+ Rex -104, and let's look at some of the let's look at first touchdown for him. Kyle Pitts, Same price as Circa. So the value isn't there from a pricing perspective. ESPN with the same price as Circa. So maybe I'd stay away from Pitts from pricing, but like gut is Pitts. Obviously, gut is always takes a backseat to EV into actual metrics and market there. But Kyle Pitts first touchdown, I'm very interested in. But what's Darnell? Nothing from Circa, but 18-1 also at DK. I mean at ESPN, excuse me. Um it's Charlie Warner. He's what did I just click? He's seen no targets. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Obviously it doesn't mean he can't score a first touchdown with some trickery or some tomfoolery there. The Panthers, like I'm finding it hard to see them getting to a quick start. Like I really am. Unless this D, like, you know, I don't see it. Like like the Panthers are so bad. Like, what are we gonna take like a Sanders? Like I know like he was like a savant, but 28-1 there, no shot. Where's McMillan? 11-1, 14-1 ESPN. So there's some value on McMillan. I think Terrell's hurt. AJ Terrell. I'm almost positive he's out. Let me confirm that over here. Yeah, AJ Terrell is out. He was ruled out a couple days ago. I remember that news. This 14-1 is actually like a pretty solid price, honestly, at ESPN for McMillan for a first touchdown. Again, I like Pitts. Game line perspective, I think that I was like leaning toward Carolina. My numbers like Carolina. The market also liked Carolina, but I think the Falcons could actually destroy them. I think the Falcons are actually really good. So I like Atlanta. Rams, Eagles. I bet Rams plus 3.5. I bet Rams money line. Price I got for confirmation 160 on ESPN, which is 165. So the market is telling me actually no. That's the same price as Circa. The liquidity at this 175 at Novig. So actually, did that just get eaten up right in front of our eyes? I think it might have. I still like the Rams, even though the market's kind of telling me to screw up. I had this theory. It's a hypothesis. Also kind of backed by a little bit of like nonsense per se. But basically, my theory, for those who are on stream know this, so I'll keep it brief. If you're first time streaming, I could be the dumbest person in the room right now, but I'm taking a stab here. Essentially, the tush push. We know how critical it is for the success of the Philadelphia Eagles, and we also know that there is controversy surrounding it because of the miscall or the lack of calls on false starts, offsides, etc. The NFL is clearly aware of it because they did call something in one of the games this week after this game where all the evidence kind of came out. We know that it's a very tough play to officiate, but they also have I think the crew chief for this game is the ref who has called the most false starts. And I think that the NFL is like acutely aware of the negative sentiment around not the tush push as a play, but just like the false start stuff, the illegality, like, and all of that. So if they do call even one false start on a tush push, then that brings a 4th and 1 to become a 4th and 6, a 3rd and 1, et cetera. That's going to take the Eagles. That's like so much of their game. Like they're not going to be able to hopefully, get 8 yards on first down and then run the tush push 3 straight times. If that's gone and alleviated, I think that actually takes away so much of what they do. Hurts, of course, one of the highest times to throw, but one of the lowest ADOTs in the league. That like one of those graphs. I think it was Judah who tweeted it. Not sure who it was, but it's just one of the funniest things I've ever seen, honestly. Playing winning football, not turning the ball over, not taking sacks. So like credit to where it's credit's due. They're playing smart football, but I think that they're going to officiate the tush push finally correctly, aka calling penalties on certain things, and that is actually going to leave Philly at a disadvantage. And who has played them the best of any team, literally in the last 2 years, both conferences, Super Bowls included? It's been the Rams. So I took the Rams plus the 3.5. Though again, the market is it's minus 101 at Novik. It's $402. If you guys are in on that, that's the best price. You could just snatch up a little bit of liquidity. Profit X, we just saw a move right there. So it's moving still, which makes sense, of course, as we're getting closer to game time here. Obviously, the Rams going from East Coast back to West, back to East is never a good thing. The link always a tough place to play, but I'm on Rams plus 3.5 and Rams money line here. And player props. So I think this game could be an over game. Both teams are going to be having to be forced to pass the ball. So I did bet some props on this one, some overs, starting with passing yards, Matt Stafford. I have bet this at 228.5, which is still the price. This 112 at FanDuel, still some EV there. So I like Circa's hanging 234.5. So this is a good price compared to market. There is EV, and based on what I do expect, the Eagles secondary is obviously good, but Puka and Tay, it's really a different animal at this point. I think that they're like really going to turn up, and I didn't know who to pick out there. So it's like, why pick on which receiver? Go with the yards here for Stafford. I took Stafford over 228.5 passing yards. Other markets, I'm going to look for some first touchdowns here, live and in person here. But I did bet in any time, and you're going to be like, oh, you're so square. What are you doing? I bet Saquon. I actually got some line value. This was minus 130. I bet it at FanDuel. So it went to 145. It's the final leg of my ghost leg parlay on DraftKings. So on the parlay for DraftKings ghost leg, I bet Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas Jr., and Saquon. That got me to plus 1,100. And I bet Saquon straight at minus 130. Fam, what is popping, my brother? Thank you for hopping on in. And guys, chat's always open. So any questions about games or players specifically, feel free. This market average is messed up because of this, which is like bothering me because obviously that line is not real. But I bet Saquon anytime. Minus 130. Minus 140. Honestly, the value is sucked out there. There was like slight EV as you see to like Circa. We could see how this moved. He has 160. So this has dipped. But again, this goes back to my push theory, where if they're not going to be able to run it, they do call up one of that in the goal line. That's going to have to lead to a Saquon situation. And Saquon obviously is a home run hitter who could score from freaking 98 yards out. So especially against this Rams team. So I bet Saquon anytime. Other props. Ian Manor, 4+ receptions plus money. I'll get to that game shortly because I do like Ian Manor, and I have other props that I did bet in that game as well. So we could look at that as well once we get there. Going game by game, taking our sweet time, locking in stuff as we go. We have a bunch of plays already locked in. Let's look at some first touchdowns here because I think this could be an over game because I think that the Ram. So that's like the tush-push theory, right? Because obviously the Rams are still dogs, and like there's clearly love in the market for the Eagles. The Eagles, to me, are still the best team in football, even better than Buffalo, even better than, the Ravens. I still have them there. But I think it also comes down to my theory of like the tush-push is going to like hurt their offense in like these short yards when we get them more third downs. I think the Rams are going to be able to score on them, making Philly have to play from behind and try to actually throw the ball down the field. But I think they're capable of doing that. It's not that I think that means that the Rams are going to blow them out. Like, no, I don't think that's a situation. I think that they can move the ball in the air if they have to. I think this is the first time they're going to have to, which I think does, though, give the advantage to the Rams here. So some first touchdowns. Where is he? No, I did not mean to click Davis Allen. I meant to click Tay. 14-20 ESPN. Only, a little bit better than Circa, but I do actually like Tay to be the first touchdown scorer here. I think he has the most advantage over Puka. Let me pull up FTN again as well. I want to see some of their receiving metrics because it is a team where obviously we know Philly is just like a funnel to their three main guys, but the Rams, I know, obviously do funnel mostly to Kyren, Puka, and Tay. Where are they? LA, there they are. Yeah, it's a straight funnel. Puka, Tay. And when Puka is as good as Puka is, like, how could you, not funnel to Puka? Then let's go to rushing. Because I know Corum did get some finally love, and McVay was calling out that they want to give him the ball more. You know, Puka also obviously they can do some fun stuff with, but Corum, I mean, they were giving some love to. Finally, let's see. Could this be an Ollie Gordon situation? Obviously, Ollie Gordon's a rookie. Corum's year 2. I was gonna say Circa though, best price. I would bet this at Circa, honestly. If you're in a Circa state, similar to like the Ollie Gordon, where like finally he does get like the usage that like people are kind of expecting, is a sneaky first drive situation. On some birds though, AJB, no EV, no rhyme intended there, but that's hilarious. They've been mixing it into Dotson 6,500. Again, if I was in a Circa state, I would bet that. Here is Devonta Smith, because I was also interested in Devonta Smith as well. Where'd he go? Smith is down lower. 15-1 here at ESPN. Okay, I like this a lot. I also like his receiving yards. So where are they at now? On Stream Friday, we like them at 49.5. It's still sitting 49.5. This plus money over here at Novig. Let's pull it up here. One-click integration, of course, amazing part of Pick the Odds there. Yeah, plus 106 here for Devonta Smith, over 49.5 receiving yards. I like that, and I like his first touchdown as well. So because the first touchdown was working on ESPN that way, let me do this here. Let's confirm that pricing on ESPN. Let's tap in here. ESPN always is like the slowest for me. TD scores, first touchdown, Devonta Smith 15-1. I like that. Obviously, I like the Rams to win, and I want them to win, but I think from a pricing perspective, as we just saw, this is a fun one here. This is a fun one. Devonta Smith, first touchdown. Is available over here at ESPN. ESPN Bet and app may be the worst out there, dude. It's annoying. It's really annoying. You would expect them to I guess they are probably still investing in making it better, or maybe they're just wasting their time, making commercials, as we see with obviously it's their own network on ESPN and they're always touting it big time. But understandably so, of course, because why wouldn't they? But yeah, this is the situation here. I like Devonta Smith, 49.5 receiving yards. Devonta Smith first touchdown. Rams money line. Rams plus 3.5. And also Devontae Adams. Stafford over passing yards bet. And what was his first again? I forgot. 14-1 also. Slight EV to Circa, but I do think that that's a good look. Let's move on to the next game. We have a ton of stuff bet, a ton more to go over here. Packers Browns, of course, a little bit of love in the market for the Brownies. This was 8.5. Now it's sitting 7.5, I think. Let's confirm if there's any late movement that I missed here. Nah, 7.5 is like the baseline number here. I haven't bet a ton in this one. I kind of did like Jordan Love over passing yards still. I also was looking at some Wicks stuff because, of course, Jaden Reed, and Wicks is like one of the best separators in all of football. He's so good at getting himself open, and now that he's like kind of catching it, which is like crazy to say, like, yes, a receiver finally being able to catch a football is making a world of difference. I know my boy fan here, he's a big Browns fan, losing by 20. I think they get smoked. I don't understand the market there. I know they're like a great run defense. Which could throw off what the Packers do. They love giving the ball to Josh Jacobs, obviously on the outside with no Jaden Reed. Tucker Kraft got hurt in practice. He's playing, but who knows the real severity. Obviously, he's not too hurt. Otherwise, they definitely would not play him. But this was 220.5, so only moved 1 yard from Friday. Didn't bet it, but That's something noteworthy. Let's look at some touchdowns quickly. But again, this is a game where I have like the least amount of thoughts here. I think the Packers could smoke them, but not enough to put my money where my mouth is. Survivor, I'm a Seattle loser who's about to get smoked with the rest of the field this week, but my league is a buyback and it's a very low entry. $25 an entry. I have 4 entries. So, I didn't mind buying. I don't mind buying back. So if Seattle gets smoked and I lose New Orleans, I'm not mad about that. But anytime tutties, what is Mr. Wicks? He's on my first touchdown list as well. Marcus adjusted compared because he's going to be getting the snaps undoubtedly, but what's a first for him? Market's all in the same spot. 12-1. Whoever this is, Bet Lee. If you still have a Rivers, this 13-1 is intriguing. Kraft, he's probably like low. Oh, it's 14-1, which is a good price on ESPN there for Tucker. We know he's a dog. But like, what's Romeo? 10-1 at Circa, best price. If you do want to get a little frisky, we know that Judkins is RB1. 13-1 for an RB1, especially compared to Circa and Novig's. Actually intriguing. Of course, they're dogs. But Judkins is an animal. 250 here for any time is also looking good. But I like this first touchdown for Judkins. Like, whenever you're getting let's say like similar to like Breece Hall, you're getting a starting running back who's also just like very talented. Yes, it's like a tough situation. They're big underdogs. This is just such an intriguing price. Honestly, I'm betting that. Judkins 13-1 first touchdown. Let me pull it up on my phone here. I don't care that they're dogs like that. Again, we're betting the first touchdown, so we're not like expecting these to hit per se. I'm in. I know that the Packers pass D is it's a mixture. Their cornerback room is lackluster and leaves a lot to be desired. However, their pass rush is so damn good, it might not matter, which is another conversation. We'll know if this is dead and like the Browns are going to get smoked like very, very early in this one, because they might not be able to move the ball like whatsoever. I do think this is a good game for an under, because I don't think that the Packers just like light them up and like do what they did to Washington, just gunning the ball down the field the whole game. So I actually do like this under a DK here, minus 108. There is some value there. Best price in market, 41.5, which is a key number. I like this under in the game. So like again, it's going to be tough for Judkins to score first tutty. I think it could be a game where Flacco's just getting blown up all game, and they might have to go to Gabriel as early as the second quarter. And I think that's actually even more beneficial to an under here. And I think that the Packers might have the hardest time moving the ball they've had so far this year. Of course, week 1, pretty effortless against a Lions D that like, yeah, they looked better week 2, but like, game plan against their old OC, and they kind of knew exactly what was kind of going on there. They didn't really have to sweat it all. And then, of course, the Commanders just like torched. But I think this is a good game for an under, and I'm in on Judkins first tutty. That's just going to be the fun there, good price, and price rules everything. So that's a fun one. But I'm gonna move on from this one. I think Packers by Millie under, Judkins touchdown. I do like some Wick stuff as well, but the market has like quickly caught up. It's not like still like there's some sneaky value, unless he does like go off, which is like not out of the cards. But the way that they move the ball around and do good Packer stuff like that. I don't think so. Let's keep rocking here. Getting through the border, Colts Titans. Okay, an intriguing game here. Fan before us asking about Ian Manor, but we'll get there. Market loving the Colts. My numbers like the Titans, but again, the Titans offense is such an abysmal offense at this point. It's just like I have no faith in them to do absolutely anything whatsoever. 5.5 now, 4.5 is still available at some places. But Circa here, Circa's at 5.5, a little bit of a dead number there. Colts' first away game, Daniel Jones' first, trip outside, which I don't think is like a big deal. It's probably beautiful out in Nashville right now. So that's not something that is concerning in any way, shape, or form. Player props, though. I bet on Mr. Michael Pittman, and I'll pull up FTN in a quick second here to show you kind of why. So, talking about this on stream, and the number is actually in a good spot still. If it moved, we'll find out right now. No, 44.5. I actually got it at minus 112. That was a juice at FanDuel at the time. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, minus 112, which is still there. Perfect. This is what I bet. So, going back to FTN here, let me get the click the wrong button. Let me get the Colts up. So last week it was a Josh Downs show, but that's because Surtain was on the outside locking down Pittman. I still think Pittman is the focal point of the passing offense. I know Warren has been amazing. Obviously JT is on another planet, just absolutely rolling. And JT is rushing prop. Let's see how high it is. But no, we're going to receiving here on FTN. I'll do some quick. So let's see. Rushing yards. JT. Yeah, 92. Ridiculous. Deserved. Warranted. But let's go to the passing game here. So Pittman second in targets. Downs is third. Warren is, of course, number one here. He's been an absolute dog. Second in catches is Pittman. But week 2 with Surtain, of course, being the one in coverage, they had to go to the middle of the field more and couldn't go outside. Like, they did give Pierce a bunch of opportunities. He's been on the field a ton. Actually outsnapped Pittman in that one. Tyler Warren, of course, on the field all the time. Josh Downs, low snap percentage, but high target rate, and did well with opportunities there. But if you go back to week 1 here, when it was against a Dolphins team with nobody on the outside, it was the Pittman show. 13 targets, 10 catches, 120. Downs still got the target share, don't get me wrong. And Pierce, they love Pierce. But I think in a game like this now, like, yeah, Tennessee, they got Snead on the outside, and they're not like terrible defensively, though they are definitely flawed. Didn't mean to click week 3 there because that's happening now. But I think that this number is too low for a player that is their number one wide receiver in a situation where, they're expecting to run the ball, but I think that running it could be a little bit more difficult than presumed here. What's Warren at? Minus 110, 46.5. So he's like 1 yard higher. I think it's the Pittman show, honestly. Let's see, Alec Pierce. Yeah, he's low. So they are really expecting to run with JT. The odds there, it's like, basically set in stone that that's what the market is fully projecting there. But no, I bet Pittman over. Let's look at some touchdowns for this one as well. Not passing touchdowns. So anytime TDs. Let's see what we got here. Josh Downs, out of curiosity, 350 ESPN. So they're gonna hang a price on him is interesting. AD Mitchell is just not playing enough snaps for me to be interested. Alec Pierce, 425. He could be a first touchdown target, honestly. We'll check back there. Pittman is plus 240. Let's look at some Titans, because I saw some EV on Pollard earlier. This offense does look inept. Yeah, it's gone. Plus 105 here. Plus 107, plus 107. So profit X with decent liquidity, 200 plus bucks there on Pittman's, on Pollard's over. Let's go with some first touchdowns. Pollard, yeah, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, obviously the spread isn't as big as in Cleveland, but like, and yeah, like, the Browns do some like weird shit like with what they talk about, but like, this is an RB1. It's at 650 in a 5.5 point spread game, and Judkins is an RB1 with 13-1 odds in a 7.5 point spread. So, not going to bet him at that price. Absolutely not. Chig, 25-1. Let me pull up Tennessee on FTN quickly, because I haven't really. It's just been so bad. It's like What are you going to do here? Tennessee, Ridley, Io Manor, who I think is a fun rookie. Chig is third day with 10 targets. End zone, Io Manor has the 1 touchdown on that crazy Cam Ward play. First downs, Chig, 20-1. So we're not seeing any value to Circa, though. So we're not going to pull any triggers there. Let's Lockett. Lockett has not been doing anything. What does he have? 4 targets all year. No, thank you. I'm expecting them to just score. Is just like, it's crazy as it is to say. We know how it goes in the NFL. There are some teams that are just like offensively inept. Pittman 16-1 at ESPN, though, 15-1 at Circa. But what is Pierce? Because I love this kid. 22-1. There's a value on ESPN. So ESPN's always, I've been seeing this, always obviously a softer book, and I'm sure limits quickly. Betting first tees will get you, probably not limited that quickly, but always the best prices. Not always, but very often the best prices at ESPN bet for some of these first touchdowns. JT is probably so ridiculously low, which he is, which is like obvious. And DJ is probably pretty low as well. Yeah. Unfortunately, nothing to bet here. I think that the Colts will learn a lot about them this week. If they're actually a legitimately good team, they handle business. The Titans could just be inept, but this is a game for them to, do anything and make at least somewhat of a statement here. Steelers, Patriots, a game that I am a little bit torn on. I think that the Patriots either win outright or the Steelers blow them out, I think. In my moneyline parlay, I did bet the Patriots. So I had Patriots, Jets, Falcons, and one more team, which I'll get to when we get there. We still have boosts to use on FanDuel and DraftKings as well, which we'll get to. Talking about like stuff that we played and just like some holistic stuff. We have 250% boosts on FanDuel here, and they could be used on any bet type. So it could be a straight. So we'll look to find something fun for that. It could be a first tutty. We get some value. Market movement here on the money line. A little bit of back and forth. The Steelers side dropping in price after a big raise in price. Where's Penny? Look at that chart where it started, where it's going. So definitely some interest in both ways with some late money. It looks like coming in on New England. Bring this line closer to like a PK. Total currently 44.5 at most places here. So obviously that's a key number. Some props here. I just don't know who's going to be doing the scoring. But I think like a Jaylen Warren is probably like, I know they want to give him the football more. What are his odds at this point? Yeah, he's getting priced like an RB1, like he is. But I know they love playing what's his name here? Why am I blanking? When I see it, I'll know in a second. Kenny G. Love getting Kenny G the snaps there. 280, 275. Okay. I haven't bet anything in this game except for New England in this money line parlay. Drake May anytime has been like good to us so far. 475 here at DK is pretty off market. We saw what Justin Fields did when this rush got to them, and we know that May scrambles as much as anybody. So I'm betting this. I'm betting Drake May anytime right now. That's a good price compared to market. I think situationally it makes sense as well. Drake May runs the ball just as much. If he actually has more rushing yards than like Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, like he's really been putting the team on his back like that. And 475 is a great price. So I just bet Drake May anytime. Plus 475. What is that with the 50% boost on FanDuel? Because I actually we'll cook up another beauty, but TD score props for this one. Drake May on FanDuel's 360, but if you add a 50% boost to 540, so I think the 475 at that point is still worth it at DraftKings. We could save the boost for something else. From who's going to turn up perspective, like that's like a tough question for me. We'll look at some first tutties. The Patriots are just like tough in that vicinity. We did hit on Booty last week, touchdown. Drake May first, 20-1 over here at ESPN. But what's Jaylen Warren? 550. But if we boost that at FanDuel, that's honestly a little bit intriguing there. Because I think that they could just go down the field and score. I think this does have like the makings of like an over game. And Jaylen Warren, they've been talking about 550 with the boost. Gets us to 830, which is like better than the price with Brees. I'm in on Jaylen Warren first tutty at using one of the FanDuel boosts plus 830. I'm in. Jaylen Warren first touchdown plus 830. So we have some fun first tutties for the games right now. Devonta Smith, Quinshon Judkins, Brees Hall, and now Jaylen Warren. Beautiful. We have another 50% boost to use. We'll see what we'd use it on. Look at some other pricing here, like Kenny G, 1600 ESPN again, dominating the prices for these square but fun bets that do still have EV. Booty 20-1 is as well, which is some good EV there as you see. So that could definitely be worth it if you do want to like mix in a Patriot here to have, action on both sides here. Drake May, we saw 20-1. Let's see here. Travion at this point, 16-1. Let me pull up New England on FTN as well, because I need to lock in a little bit more out of curiosity of like what their situation has been. Receiving game, targets, Stephon Diggs leading the way, Hunter Henry second, Booty third, Stevenson there, then Travion Henderson, who I saw EV on his over receptions 2.5 earlier this week using PTO. And let's go to the rushing game, because I don't trust him at all in pass pro. Only 30% of the snaps also as well. So that's like not great. I have this again, I have the Patriots in the money line lay. I see why the market has kind of done what it's done and move in both directions. Like I could see again a situation where the Patriots are absolutely kind of like blowing them out. Excuse me, the Steelers could absolutely blow them out. But I just don't know that the Steelers, like our priors on this defense, are true. Like they just couldn't obviously show down Sam Darnold by any means. Of course, Fields and the Jets had their explosion in week 1. That doesn't look like they'll ever do that again over the course of this season. So I like that there. Let's go to the EV screen. Haven't done this yet on stream. Of course, I've been looking at it all morning, but it's been an hour here. Let's see if anything is popping up. Just from a straight EV perspective, not going the old manual way here. See, Alec Pierce 2+ receptions, 3 receptions here to Sports Trade into Novig. Plus 210, market average of 143. Interesting for him to get 3 catches. He's been targeted like heavily. 133, it's 210. So if you're a 365 user, that 19.2% EV, that's absolutely a bet. This Tyrod's been here all day. I don't love it, honestly. Like obviously he has like the rushing skill set and demeanor, and maybe I'll regret this, but 8.6% EV to Novig and profit. Not a ton of liquidity on the over, a lot on the under there, but vice versa here, but the odds are closer. So I'm out on Tyrod touchdown, but just showcasing that there. Stevenson 2 receptions, and so many of these are on 365, which is just like annoying. I have it up here for people who, if you are like a user, so you can, be able to see what has EV. Unfortunately, I'm not in a 365 state, so I cannot do that, unfortunately. But a lot of 365. Stafford under rushing yard. I actually think this is interesting as well. 117 compared to the market is just a good price. But also considering I think that the Rams win doesn't necessarily mean winning turns into kneel downs, because obvious reasons. But with that included, I do think that this is actually intriguing, because if he does somehow get like a 2-yard rush or something, 2 kneel downs to take it out. But again, that's like probably asking for too much and probably like a flawed process overall. So I wouldn't bet it. But just from a 5.2% standpoint based on the market, I'm intrigued by Stafford under a rushing yard there. Again, a bunch of Hard Rock, which is not always available, as well as Rivers, unfortunately. Romeo under here at profit. Novik and Circa. Forecaster's also here. A lot of movement on this number. Trey Tucker against the Commanders. So I kind of like this as well. We haven't gotten to that game yet, but I have a lot in that game. So that's going to be fun to talk about. We'll get there very shortly. Ramondre, Trace Brown receptions out of the backfield. Rivers showing some EV. If you're a Rivers user, I like this a lot. Market average 126, 3.9% EV. If you still have a Rivers account, AD Mitchell, I think, is chalked. Hey, Adams over receiving. I think this is fair and it's a good price, minus 110. I like that as well. That's a good bet there. Christian Kirk anytime. I was actually looking for this. I think this could be a good bet as well. A lot of liquidity on the over here at Novik at 398. 430 best price. PointsBet CA. Canada best price overall. I think that's also probably worth it. Bo Nix anytime 5-1. I'm betting this right now. Let's pull it up just to confirm there. I'm betting that. I like that as from a situational standpoint. We know Khalil Mack's out, which is going to definitely like deflate the pass rush a little bit. I do have the under in that game, under 46. Obviously, doesn't mean that points can't be scored, but I think that Bo Nix, if it is like a legacy game, quote unquote, bad way to kind of put it, but like if it is, I think it's actually a really great price. And I'm actually going to use my FanDuel boost on that to get even better odds. There's 2 FanDuel boosts. I used one on the Jaylen Warren first touchdown, but I'm using my other one on this Bo Nix anytime. Market moved back to 3 there, which I think is fair. I was surprised it actually got to where it got. I'm surprised it did move in the Broncos direction the way it did. But 460 with, I have 2 no sweats, not another boost. Okay. So that changes things. So I just lock in the 5-1 at DraftKings. Easy. But we'll build up some no sweats as well, or maybe use them on some other first tutties and call it. Baker Mayfield any times. Bunch of books showcasing that. Byshawn Tootin. He is an interesting one. I don't know what to do with him yet. Trey Tucker getting some love in the market here. Chubb anytime. EV to a bunch of shops here. If it just dropped to 130 though, let's check that out. No, 135. Best price in market. I think that's actually probably a good bet there. Let me so there's also a 4th leg DraftKings boost that I haven't used yet. So I'm intrigued actually there. I'm going to throw that into that, and we'll find some other legs as we go, because we're sticking to FanDuel. We're sticking to wherever we find good bets to make. I just went to 125 in my slip, so that value is gone. So thanks for playing, Nick Chubb. Though we will get value by using the boost, the 15% profit boost. So we'll have Nick Chubb on standby there. QJ under receptions, showing some EV. CD anytime. I like this a lot, honestly. I use one of my no sweats on a CD 2+ tutty and a Brock Bowers 2+ tutty. Obviously, a square one, but like a fun one. Let's go back to Kirk anytime as well. Chase Brown over rushing. A lot of good stuff here from an EV perspective. Let's go back though to the game previews here, and let's talk through the rest of the games. We're almost done with those. We'll come back here as well and do another run through. We have a bunch of stuff played already, so obviously we were betting stuff with good market value, so we should be profitable in the long run here. But gotta get some W's today. But last 1 o'clock game, Raiders Commies. No JD5. Mariota getting to go. Gino put up a stinker on prime time, but all that to be said, I think Gino's good. I think that was kind of an anomaly. I think the Commies, yes, they're off the mini bye, and the Raiders are coming from the West Coast in LA to the East Coast after a Monday night game, so an abbreviated game rest, a tough spot to be in for any team ever. But I bet a parlay here, same game parlay. As a Commander fan, I bet Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Bill under 1.5 receptions. I think that expecting him to just take over the Eckler role is a little bit ridiculous. He was never a passing down receiver in college. Obviously, that can change, but I don't think that that's going to happen. So under 1.5 catches for JCM. And let's look at the pricing there, because I did think that that was potentially worth a straight at the odds with some EV. I just don't think he's, because his receiving yards was 6.5. I'd rather just fade the passing, like Epic Fantasy 118. FanDuel good price here. I like the under on receptions, excuse me, and receiving yards for JCM. It was 6.5. Didn't fade that because move up to 8.5 actually, just because of you can catch the ball one time. He's definitely athletic enough to break one run for 10 yards against his Raiders defense is not good. So I was just I went with under receptions under the premise of he doesn't really catch the football like that. And we'll look up some of these stats here on FTN as well quickly. It's being slow on me. Washington. Go to receiving here. He has 2 targets, no catches, right? Obviously, it was rotational, only playing 25% of the total snaps so far. Yes, the number is going to increase, but again, I don't expect them to just make him the guy. I think McNichols is that receiving back, and I also think that while he's been healthy DMPs, Chris Rodriguez is also going to get some more burns. I think they still stick with that 3-leg game, and I also think that Debo is probably going to be more of a beneficiary in some of these short passing situations. I don't think that they're just going to rely on the rookie to do something he had never done in college and just be good at it. I think they're going to stick to the guys that they know are good at it. Debo Samuel, who can catch out of the backfield, and Jerry McNichols, who was their Eckler prototype-esque back that they still have, of course. So fade of Bill in those capacities, as well as I wouldn't bet his anytime tutty at those odds either. I think there's just more value on the McNichols, the Debos, and the C-Rods of the world. But I also, in that parlay, faded Ashton Jeanty. I took under 61.5 rushing yards in that lay. Circus at 62.5. I think Kami's rush defense, they do have an advantage with how bad that Raiders O-line is. I know they lost Dietrich Wise, but those big bodies up front, I think, are still going to cause a ton of problems for the running game. I don't think this is the week where Jeanty looks like the Jeanty who got himself drafted 6th overall. I don't think that's the case right now. So Bill under, Jeanty under. But and over here, there was some EV here earlier, but Geno Smith over passing yards. 250. It's plus 116 now at Novik, plus 107 at DK, which is where I bet the 4-leg parlay for the SGP here. But I like two Geno 250 plus. I think that the Commanders' pass defense, as we saw last week, is still as bad as expected, and they're bad in the middle of the field, which is going to be tough to stop, even though he's a little bit banged up here. Mr. Brock Bowers. I bet Bowers anytime. Plus 205, it was at profit earlier. There was good liquidity. Looks like it got all snatched up, though, unfortunately. A lot of liquidity on the under, but I think it's going to be a Bowers nuclear game. And not just because, Trey or Tucker Kraft went off against them last week. Bowers is obviously a special guy. He's that dude. And the Commanders' middle of the field defense is really poor. And Bowers is just him. And I think Geno does have a great situation here. So Bowers 2+ as well, 18-1, and Bowers anytime. I think are great bets. So that parlay was 15-1. Bill under 1.5 receptions. Jeanty under 61.5 rushing yards. Geno 250+ passing yards. Bowers anytime tutty. But back to what I was saying with why I would fade Bill and who I would go with instead. I bet Debo anytime tutty. Pulling up Debo here. I got it at 220 at DK. It's still there. It's actually best price in market still. So I would bet this now. Absolutely here at DK. I got it at FanDuel at 220, which had moved. And devigging to FanDuel, which is sharper. I like this a lot. Debo anytime tutty. Again, I spoke about it pretty much at a pretty solid length there. I think that the passing game stuff does not just go to Bill out of the blue. I think they rely on the guys they know are better in that area, aka Debo Samuel and Jeremy McNichols. So give me Debo Samuel anytime touchdown. Let's look at it first for this game because I have a strong lean to. I bet the over at 43.5 this morning. It was a lean until this morning when it was still sitting there. Let's see if I got any value. Yeah, I don't know if there's any late market moves here. 44, 43, 43.5. So DK this 110 was 108. It's only 161 bucks of liquidity. If you want to ride with me, I did get a DK this 110 mark. 44 at circa. 44 being a key number, of course. I bet the over. Talked about this for a pretty long time on stream on Friday. I think that with all the issues JD5 had so far, which again, I'm talking about a guy who's still an absolute stallion, and some issues being some like a little bit of accuracy problems, missed Terry McLaurin on some big shots. And I don't think Mariota by any means is an upgrade, of course, because JD5's a dog, but he's been a tick off. Cliff also obviously trusts Mariota, and I know they love to run their like quick offense. So I think that they're going to actually have some success, Washington, in this game scoring the ball, similar to like week 1 against the Giants, where they only put up the 22, but they had that, botch in the red zone toward the end of the half where they definitely could have put up some more points there, but were incapable of doing that after that grounding call, which, take the clock off. Like, I think they left a lot of points on the board. But the difference in this game is I think that the Raiders move the ball and move the ball well. So I bet the over here. In this one, of course, Debo, Bowers, touchdowns, but fades of Bill in the passing game and Genty rushing. I'm still not impressed there. Who I think wins this one as a Commies fan, obviously I hope we win. I think the Raiders are absolutely live. Like we said, tough situation from a travel perspective, which is, of course, priced in here, even with the JD5 news and the way the market's been kind of bouncing a little bit to under 3, 3.5, etc. But let's look at some first tutties to round out this one. But like, what's Bowers? I'm already all in on Bowers. This 12-1 is intriguing at ESPN again. Like Genty, I think it still score tutty because if they get there, like they're gonna hand it to him. But I also think that again, like Washington's receiving core is bad. This 15-1 for Jakobi Meyers is very interesting. I don't know enough about, and I'll pull up FTN as well here quickly. I don't know enough about like the wide receiver 2s and 3s for like Vegas because both of them are priced very similarly between Thornton and Trey Tucker. Look at some snap percentages and some targets here. So Jakobi Meyers leading the way. He's WR1, then Bowers, then Trey Tucker, then Deontay Thornton is there with 8. So I guess it is Tucker. So let's go back here because this is a 22-1, same price as Bookmaker. But let's go to Trey Tucker. 26-1. Okay, circa best price. So I still am honestly looking at Bowers. But what is like Zamir? 6-1, 60-1. Playing just 20% of the snaps though, and they were talking about getting Genty the ball more, and also talked about like load management, which I get. I think Bill could still score the first tutty. Like again, I just don't think he's going to be used like the all-around back. But I do think they're gonna I think he's gonna have a good game and is like definitely still talented. But in terms of the passing game stuff, that's my fate of Bill. But I think there's gonna be more value on like a McNichols here. 25-1 at circa. So we're not finding EV there. Fire truck action scared me. Debo. Yeah, 14-20 ESPN. That's a bet. That is a bet. Debo Samuel 14-1 at ESPN. That's something I absolutely like. What's his receiving yards? I want to see his rushing yards as well. Just because to see how they're pricing him with all the uncertainty in the backfield there. I'm already looking at receiving yards. I want rushing yards. Rushing yards. There we go. Okay, so 4.5. So they're not like expecting him to do that. With like the potential for that seems low, honestly. Again, like I don't think they just rely on Bill and just like, okay, like here you go, Bill. Like you're the guy now with all capacities, including the running game. Like or including the passing game. Like, I don't think that that's the case. Like, I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're more likely to scheme up stuff for like a Debo that they trust over like just like Bill breakout party per se. So Debo Samuel, first touchdown. All right, let's go to the rest of the games here. We got, of course, almost an hour until kickoff. I'll go for another like 30 until we finish all these games here. Into the 4 o'clocks finally. Broncos Chargers. I bet under 46 and 46 flat, minus 110 under 46. A lot of sharper people telling me they like the over there, which I think is which I think makes sense, right? Like no Khalil Mack. Broncos offense still solid. Chargers defense going to probably take a little bit of a hurt there. The way that they're playing on offense with Herbert and just letting him sling is awesome. But I think not that there's like due regression or like Herbert's going to be bad or anything. He's an absolute dog. I just think that the Broncos defense is still elite, and I think that the Chargers defense is like elite, even without Khalil Mack. And yeah, we bet that Bo Nix anytime. Forgot to write that down here. Yeah, Bo Nix anytime, 5-1. I think this is a lower scoring game, honestly. But that's what I wanted to do. Because we have the no sweats, so we're gonna take a good utilization of that. But let me do this for one of the no sweats because we already bet them straight. We're gonna do a little bit of a quarterback lay. Bo Nix anytime, Drake May anytime. Oh, Bo Nix dropped to 440 right in front of my eyes on FanDuel. That was like good thing we got in at what we get in at 500, so that's nice. Bo Nix anytime, Drake May anytime. I'm not getting even cuter than that. We have 2 no sweats. Just lock this in. Plus 2384 for 2 QBs to do some fun rushing stuff there. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Love that. Okay. We have such a great amount of action today. And I'll run through everything that we bet so far. Let me do that quickly now because I have most of my juice done. But Chargers, Broncos under 46, Rams plus 3.5, Rams money line parlay of the Falcons, Jets, Patriots, and we haven't got there yet, but Chiefs money line. They're not going 0-3. Vegas, Washington over 43.5. Pittman over 45 receiving yards. Debo anytime touchdown. Bowers anytime touchdown. That Washington SGP of Ja'Cory Bill under 1.5 receptions, Genti under 61.5 rushing yards, Gino 250 passing yards, and Bowers anytime parlay. We also have Stafford over 228.5 passing yards, ghost leg parlay on DraftKings promo of Saquon, BTJ, and Jamar Chase. We also have Saquon anytime touchdown, and I only have first touchdowns we also took Breece Hall, Devonta Smith, Judkins, Jalen Warren, Debo Samuel, and we bet Drake May and Bo Nix anytime touchdown. And I have one more play that I took pre-game, but two more actually that we'll talk about, and also a no sweat of CD 2+ touchdowns, Bauer 2+ touchdowns. So we have a lot of stuff cooking here. But back to this one here, Bo Nix anytime. We're locked in. Looks like we got some good pricing there. Error using the filter. Please try again. Let's do a little refresh here. Yeah, assists. No, thank you here. I'm intrigued by QJ still. We saw some EV on his under receptions, which I think is like valid. I think that they still throw the ball over the field here. It was plus 125. So this is definitely like a good bet from an EV perspective here. QJ under 3.5. Assuming Lad is kind of shut down a little bit by Surtain. Yes, they do move the ball, spread the ball around, I should say, very often. I'm going to keep this one a little bit brief, honestly. I like the under. We have Bo Nix touchdown. I don't really have anything else I love here. Can just do a quick run through of like firsts just for, maybe we see some value here on some first touchdowns. But again, like teams that aren't like funnels and like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of value if you do pick right, but like Troy Franklin, best price at Circa, no thanks. Marvin Mims hasn't done anything, 25 to 1. Maybe they do sneak a deep ball, but again, the Chargers are keeping everything in front of them and doing that excellently. Knicks 25 to 1. We already have the anytime, so intrigued by that. Keenan, hit on him on Monday. That was fantastic. 16 to 1. I like this a lot. As in, I think that's absolutely worth it there. So I'm going to pull up ESPN quickly and lock that in as well. I like that Keenan price at 16 to 1. Let me just do one more like check through here. Like, what's Conklin? 25 to 1. Good price there at ESPN again as well. Davis Fit Omarion, 650. Let me pull up LV's some LV's LAC stuff here out of curiosity and FTN. LAC receiving targets. Keenan's still leading. Quentin Ladd, probably a tough Ladd game. I don't think they're gonna like think Keenan as like WR1. Passing game, only 4 receptions there. I think Hampton again, like what's Najee actually? What's Najee? 16 to 1. This is a little bit more interesting here. Let me go back here for rushing. Hampton has the most rush here. Najee, though, let's go to week 2 specifically. Because I'm curious how they did bounce back. Now, still was Hampton's backfield. Split with attempts, though. Same amount of much higher snap percentage for passing downs for Omari in there, but same amount of rush attempts, though Herbert, which hit Herbert 30 plus rush yards, that was plus 390. That was a beauty on Monday. Back to PTO though. This is somewhat interesting. Najee had 1 red zone carry, but Hampton led the red zone carries there. So I'm sticking with Keenan. Give me the savvy veteran. Keenan first touchdown for this one. Good price. They're targeting him at a very high rate. Let's see, first touchdown score. Keenan Allen, 16 to 1. I love that. Keenan, he's already a GOAT for me, hitting 1 time on Monday. Prime time first touchdown, always nice. But Keenan Allen, 16 to 1. All right. Finalizing the board here. Final games we're in on. Saints, Seahawks. I'm a Seahawks survivor sucker. Have Seahawks in all 4 of my picks, though I do think the Saints could cover here. Of course, we know JSN. Pop-up injury report. The secondary for Seattle is a little bit banged up as well. They're not at full strength, unfortunately. From like a total perspective of this game, I think it could be value on the over. We can look at some props. It's just a game where, like, again, I'm not really tuned into either of these teams and how they've been like operating. I know Darnold looked really great last week. Charbonnet's out, so Walker should run wild. Kamara's still been great. Rattler's been more than serviceable, though this defense could be great. Shout out to Jake. I know he loves the over here, 41.5. He's been talking about this all week. If I'm not mistaken, he bet this. Maybe not, but still, I know he's a big fan of the over 41.5 here. Saints OL healthy for the first time Rattler's career. That is big. But it goes back to like someone like, I don't want to say this is like anything profound or anything like that, but like we have Mike McDonald, who is a great defensive mind, going against Rattler in a tough environment in Seattle. Though, of course, we know the 12th man is nowhere near as strong as it was, in its heyday. In the defense, of course, the talent there overall is not, again, what it was in the heyday either. But all in all, I still think that this is could be like an over game. I just don't have any like really strong thoughts. Like I used again Seattle and Survivor. Maybe I'm the sucker there with everybody else. I'll pull up Circa because they, of course, released their numbers. I went with the Grandissimo. I didn't see the Grandissimo, but yeah, Seahawks 660, 6,655 entries in my pool. Obviously, a lot smaller, but the vast majority of people were on Seattle. Shout out to people who took the Bills and just got that over with. Though, Tua throwing a pick, that was obvious. None of this is for any, like value hunting or anything like that. Just pure curiosity. 13 no picks, unfortunately. Somebody took the Dolphins. Let's see. I want to see if they have the Grandissimo actually. Just again, curiosity. Let's on my other monitor. I'll switch back. Okay, here's the Grandissimo, and it's Seattle as well. 29.4% on Seattle. The Bills, shout out to the Bills mover, people who moved on with the Grandissimo, which is always fun. Packers, Chiefs, obvious ones there. I think these Bucks guys got to watch out, man. I think the Bucks Jets are live. And one on the Niners. We'll get to that game in a brief second, but always curious where some of those, big time entries go in. But back to this one. We'll see with this one. Shout out to Jake who likes the over. I don't have any strong thoughts except part of me hopes. I mean, I think in my league at least, but even though they're like a very typical survivor, like because I can buy back, it's like kind of like really not a giant thought because I'm never using the Saints ever to use Seattle. So I can't even say like I'm rooting for the Saints to like tear down the league because I'm assuming people are going to buy back as well. So I guess I am rooting for Seattle. Cowboys, Bears. All right, almost done with the board here. I think this might be the George Pickens game where he finally, goes off. He hasn't had any real serious, like, exciting usage, unfortunately, which is kind of like why I'm a little hesitant because they're just funneling to CD, man. I'll pull up the numbers. 24 targets to CD. Fergie in second with 18, and then CD with 13. Only 8 catches for 98 this year. It does have a tutty. You can just like kind of think of it as like, okay, this is how their offense goes, and that's that. But like, if you ask me, I think it's like kind of like a destined for breakout. Like they're gonna force feed CD, but like especially with no Jalen Johnson. But like, it's also hard to think that the Bears have any. Are going to put up this master game plan to slow down CD, which like gives up some stuff for Pickens here. CD is freaking 84 at Circa. I mean, it's understandable and makes a lot of sense. But I'm in on the Pickens breakout here. I wish his touchdown price was a little bit better, but 54.5 yards. Oh, what's 50 plus here? Minus 139 at DK. Really not bad. I'm intrigued, honestly. I am. In the DraftKings, because we have that slip. Oh, Chubb went back to 35, so that was bought back. I'm going to add this Pickens. I'm going to do an alternate line of. We'll see if the value is there. I'm going to do 70 plus. With the boost, there'll be value to the market overall. I think this is the Pickens game. In terms of the game line, this number is flipped. I'm kind of I think it's one of those, and like I'm not somebody who's going to ever be like, oh, this is a trap game. Like that's nonsense. The numbers are the numbers for a reason. Lines are made, lines are then bet, especially with these massive limits as we know exist for this efficient NFL market here. But it is just like a little bit perplexing to me to the point where like I just genuinely don't know like kind of where to go about certain things there. That being said, like, are the Cowboys just like probably superior? Absolutely. But like, who's going to slow down anybody here? If Caleb actually is pretty good, that's probably a better question overall. And I don't think anybody slows down anybody, but I wish the touchdown odds were better for Pickens. Plus 158. I mean, I know he scored again or scored already. TD's well, like minus 110, I'd have to assume. Let's see. I looked earlier, so this isn't the full guess. I do love my random guess to see how close they hit the market. Even money. Minus 110 at Circa, though. So it's this market average is, inflated because of this nonsense that won't go away. 111 at PX. Shout out the Profit X here. Let me pull this up actually. Good amount of liquidity for Lamb to score a touchdown. Plus 114. Best price in market. I'm definitely intrigued, honestly. Let me take some of that liquidity there. I'm in. Lamb Tutty. Oh, these odds are moving again in this lay. What did the odds move to? Chubb down to 130, so that's getting some back and forth action. I'm adding Lamb touchdown to this DraftKings boost. I have Lamb 2+ in the no sweat. Lamb 2+, Bowers 2+. Obviously, a long shot of long shots there, but I love Bowers today, like I said, and I love CD today as well. Plus 650 FanDuel, best price for 2+. We'll check some firsts. Javonte Williams is obviously like can't be ignored. CD first at 7-1 is actually pretty solid. Fergie 17-1 at DK is pretty interesting. Pickens, what's Pickens? Oh, like 10-1 at FanDuel, 11-20 at MGM is like very intriguing. Only this 11-02 at Bookmaker. I'm intrigued by Pickens first tutty. Like obviously expecting like a lot overall, but MGM not letting me one click, so I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Receiving yards for Pickens, but like no, that's gonna be our another first touchdown that we bet there. Pickens first. If it's the Pickens game, I think it's early and often. I think it's early and often for Georgie P here. 115. Oh no. Let's go to MGM here. First TD score, second chance. I mean, if I wasn't limited to smithereens here, I would take this a little bit more seriously and probably bet them more here. But I think that's a promo where if they score the second touchdown too, then it's your ticket's still alive. Don't know the intricacies of that though. I have to do some digging and maybe somehow get a fresh MGM account. Pickens first tutty. We're all in on the Pickens train. Overall, though, this game, I don't have much more to say. I am curious what like Javonte's odds are for any time. Like I am a little bit intrigued by Rome as well. I wasn't like low on Rome per se. I was low on BJ and CW, which so far is like very relatively valid. 160 makes sense. I was more curious first, but 14-1. Okay, good price there over at ESPN. We'll see if Circa ends up adding lines for these eventually, but it probably will. DJ Moore, I'm so anti. 13-1 in DraftKings. I wouldn't even bet that. But I want to see Javonte just out of curiosity because he really is the guy now. Yeah, 7-1 though at DK is not half bad for RB1 like that. Not half bad at all, realistically. Alrighty, let's finish up this board here. We're cooking, we're cranking. San Francisco and Arizona before we get to SNF. I'm not going to talk Monday night because I'm going to be streaming tomorrow night to go dive in. But I did bet Ravens -4.5. I know some injuries have come in for the Ravens. I guess I will talk about it briefly. I just do think that it's a situation where the Ravens have all like the roster advantages as well as the schematic advantages as well. I know that the Lions aren't playing as much man without Aaron Glenn. That was his whole thing. But I do think it's a Ravens like situation up and down. Goff out of the turf, not against an offense that knows him, not against a not an offense that knows him, against a team that they know what's going on offensively, not against the worst defense in football, which the Bears might be. Not that the Ravens defense are world beaters at this point, but I did bet the Ravens at the 4.5, -108, and I we'll see how that closes. But final two games here for Sunday and full stream tomorrow, 7 p.m. So make sure you guys are locked and loaded for stream tomorrow. So follow me on X right now at GoBetSmart. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, hit that subscribe button or that follow button as well. Heavily appreciated. And also, if you're on X watching, I have a lot of content posted to YouTube over the last month, all about sports betting tools, different tools for different categories, tool reviews, best ways to utilize different tools, best reviews of different betting platforms like Novig. I have a bunch of content also like in the queue to come out in the indefinitely. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Go Bet Smart. Building a really great community over there. Giants Cardinals, another one where I really don't have a ton of thoughts, unfortunately. I have a bunch of Cardinals stuff preseason. Gannon, COY, shout out to TA. Cardinals playoffs, which is correlated to Gannon, COY. Again, shout out to Cleve TA. This is one where we're going to learn a lot about these teams, more so about Arizona, of how like legit they are. I've always been anti Kyler Murray, and don't at me. Kyler Murray stinks. Stinks obviously is, a little much, but he's not good. And he, I think, does to a degree hold them back, despite being like a talented, athletic individual. I think he does hold back their like overall ceiling for like how good of a football team they can be. And I think that in games like today against the Niners, even with Mac Jones, are where you're going to really see whether or not the Cardinals do have what it takes to be a playoff team. And obviously, I lean toward that. Like that's not the case, and that's not what's going to happen here. But I did bet something on the prop. I bet on Trey Benson over 25 or 25 plus rush yards. It was actually minus 105. Minus 107 is still good, as you see with the expected EV there compared to the market. As you see, actually now the 117 is 4.9% is better than the 25 plus at minus 107. When I was looking earlier, when I made this bet, it was the opposite, where it was minus 105 here, minus 115, and there was more EV to the market at the 25 plus. But here it's worth the extra 10 cents here, according to the market overall. But there's very high potential that James Conner is like cooked, unfortunately. Just in like the usage is there. So like we're seeing like a 60-30 split, excuse me, like a 70-30 split, but it's kind of like rising. And like, yes, they were kind of blowing out the Panthers last week. So maybe that's why they got Benson involved a little bit more early. But I just think that Conner being an older back and Benson being the second-year player, guy with a ton of speed. And I'll pull up the numbers on FTN quickly. Like, I think we're getting closer to a true like 60-40 timeshare than like James Conner retaking over his role as the main guy. Like, as you see here, only 56% of snaps for Conner, only and 37% for Benson. And we'll go to rushing here. Kyler, of course, gets a little bit of those attempts, 14. Benson only 11, but he's absolutely murking those attempts, 7.5 yards per carry. But not efficient at all for James Conner. And Benson, again, we're getting closer to a pretty split timeshare. And I think that wasn't just, again, a product of last week. I think that's kind of where it's going now. I think they just had a lot of confidence in this kid. So I think this number is low. So I bet Benson 25 plus rushing yards at minus 105. At this case, though, there is more value, as you see, at the 23.5 number. So if he lands 24, shout out to you guys if you tail and get in. I bet this straight, though. In terms of what to expect, like Mac Jones is good enough to like keep things sustainable for the offense. Like from a fantasy perspective as well. He's not going to just like completely kill McCaffrey or even Juwan Jennings we saw cooking. All in all, though, I don't necessarily, again, feel like relatively strongly either way. Like Niners, of course, probably should win this football game. And like, I mean, not like necessarily. Look at the market here. It's pretty split. I am just rooting for the Cardinals again for my futures tickets. Beating up on Mac Jones would be great because this Cardinals defense has been impressive. But again, they played Rattler and Bryce Young. However, Mac Jones is definitely better than both of those players. So obviously no Brock Purdy, obviously no Kittle, no Ayuk, etc. We know how deep the injuries go for the Niners, and it's week 3, which is it just sucks, man. Hate to see those injuries. We could do a quick scan of props, but the touchdown markets and maybe there's some EV to be had here. But Yeah, like a Connor under at 120 here at Circa, like, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't score because like they do like give it to them there, but I think Connor's like on his way out. Marv, I know he's been missed a few times and like is open, but that's interesting. I think I talked about this on stream, and shout out to the ETR guys because they were talking about it. But like Trey McBride just doesn't score touchdowns, and like yes, you know that, but he didn't do it in college. He barely did it even in high school. People were digging deep in. So I don't know what it is with Trey McBride. He's just not a touchdown scorer. So like honestly, this 239 of liquidity there, or minus 239, $600 liquidity over there at Novig. Instead of hoping for the positive regression, man, maybe it's just like Trey McBride, end zone, not best boys. Murray, curiosity here, 295. Again, I don't have any really strong opinions on this one, so we'll move on. But maybe some Pearsall, because like what's McCaffrey though? I was gonna say if there's a chance we were getting McCaffrey at like 130, like Saquon, I was like, yeah, maybe McCaffrey's interesting, but unfortunately at those prices, he's probably definitely gonna score, don't get me wrong, but at those prices, I'm not in love. And we're still building out this DraftKings boost, by the way. I have Lamb touchdown, Pickens 70 plus, and Chubb touchdown. So we'll look for one more props because we need a 4-legger there. But then I will run through everything that we've bet so far. But I do want to check Pearsall quickly. Am I blind? Yes. I was hoping a little bit better. I really was. I'm intrigued by Pearsall. I still think he's a good player. It's not like an alpha going to demand 12 targets a game. If you consider like the 8 mark, I'd feel confident. Not there yet, but I think he's still a good player. Maybe just a quick look at first TDs, though. Again, not intrigued. This game also has a pretty low total, if I'm not mistaken. Understandably so, of course, with Mac Jones's offense. It's at 44.5. Am I just confirming here? Let me get underdog because I know they said that Mac's playing. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. Maybe because the market moved opposite of what I thought there. Xavier Legette not playing. Not that that matters. Oh, Jawan Jennings is not playing. That's probably why the pricing on Pearsall was better. I missed that. Thought that I'm talking shit to Quinyon Mitchell pregame. Love that. Darisaw. Oh, Darisaw was playing. Okay. Scatabo to get more snaps. Like that was called for. I know Jake, who was in chat before, he bet Scatabo. He's been talking Scatabo a lot. JSN illness, he's playing. McCarthy, week 7, we saw all this. Okay. Purdy, yes, could be in line to start week 4. We knew this. Total still seems high. Gun to head lean was being under there. But let's talk final game, final EV run through, final talk about all the plays that we have, and we'll finish off this DraftKings 4-leg boost here. Okay. Chiefs Giants. I was kind of joking on stream Wednesday, but also not joking. I fully see the Giants covering, but winning when they're like driving to, win the game outright. Like then some nonsense gets called and the Chiefs end up winning 3-0. I have the Chiefs in the money line leg that I think is definitely going to come through here. But I'm interested in Pacheco to rushing yards. I think he looks good. The problem is for like touchdowns and stuff, which is why I haven't betted, is because Kareem Hunt, they're just using him in the red zone. Like there's no other way to put it. Like they get in the red zone and Kareem Hunt gets the football. So I don't think that with the way that it's priced like Pacheco. He's not like he's plus 195 to score. So he's not priced like a true RB1 like that. It actually was worse earlier. So like my point is a little not as pungent right now because like when it was like plus 145 when I looked, then I was like, come on, bro. He doesn't get the ball. Like that's just a bad bet. 195 is a little bit fair, honestly. But I like his rushing yards at 41.5. He's running hard, man, and he looks good and healthy. The Chiefs have their own problems, and yes, this offensive line is could be a problem for the Chiefs, and this defensive line for the Giants, albeit not really do a ton to Dak or JD5, does still have the talent. So I don't expect them to just like never pick it up and never really get pressure and never really disrupt games. This could be a good one where they do tonight. Pacheco still leading the rush the snap percentage there. 15 attempts to 13, which is killing me because you see the red zone here. It's the Kareem Hunt show and the first downs. are the Kareem Hunt show. Of course, Mahomes doing a little bit more, doing it like, like the God, you want to do it right, you got to do it yourself. Kind of back there. Receiving. But back to like my overall point, though, I think we're like getting a little bit lower on Pacheco due to like what's going on from like an overall perspective. But I think that he actually though is running the ball well. So all in all, I'm adding Pacheco rush attempts to this. Rush yards to this DraftKings four-legger here. I think. Let's see. What's the 40 plus here? Minus 128. That's probably worth it, especially getting a boost. So that makes us at 23-11 for this DraftKings boost, with picking 70 plus CD anytime, Chubb anytime, Pacheco 40 plus rushing yards. I'm not out on Pacheco like being like cooked and like bad. I know that their usage is odd with Kareem Hunt, and like I don't know why they're in love with him so much. Like maybe, I mean, he had a whole summer and a whole training camp to get healthy, Pacheco. I don't know. Overall, though, I do think that the Russ will have some success. I think the Giants could absolutely cover this number, but the Chiefs are not going 0-3. Call me square, call me whatever. Talk your shit. He's absolutely not. Someone saying, "What's your lock of the day?" My buddy is joking though. I love the ghost leg parlay that I took. So again, I'm not going to go over Monday because I have all stream tomorrow to go over Monday, but I did bet the Ravens 4.5 early in the week, minus 108. Market somewhat disagrees with some injury news coming in though, but we'll see what we get by, well over 24 hours from now. But let's run through everything that we bet today because we had a ton of good stuff, and we'll do another run through of the EV after I go through this one more time. Everything I bet for today. Again, I have this written down already because I have bet a lot of this. We did bet some stuff on stream, so bear with me. Ravens minus 4.5. Chargers, Denver under 46. Rams plus 3.5. Rams money line. Money line parlay. Falcons, Patriots, Jets, Chiefs. Raiders, Washington over 43.5. Pittman, 45 plus receiving yards. Debo anytime touchdown. Bowers anytime touchdown. Saquon anytime touchdown. Stafford over 228.5 passing yards. Trey Benson, 25 plus rushing yards. And then some fun parlay stuff that we took. We took Washington LV SGP, Bill under 1.5 receptions, Genti under 61.5 rushing yards, Gino 250 plus passing yards, Bowers anytime tutty. We also bet a fun ghost leg promo, Saquon anytime, BTJ anytime, Jamar Chase anytime. No sweat, CD 2 plus tutties, Bauer 2 plus tutties. First touchdowns, Breece Hall, Devonta Smith, Quinshon Judkins, Jalen Warren, Debo Samuel, Keenan Allen, George Pickens. And then another DK parlay, Pickens 70 plus receiving yards, CD anytime, Chubb anytime, Pacheco 40 plus rushing. And then last but not least, Bo Nix anytime tutty, Drake May anytime tutty, no sweat parlay of Drake May and Bo Nix anytime tutty combined. So let's do one more run through of the EV and see if anything finalized pops out from a game line as well as a this is David Moore 18-1 from a game line or a prop perspective. I mean, this is well better than the market average there. It's a no vig and profit, not a lot of liquidity though. A lot more on the under, so no thank you on David Moore. Again, a lot 365. Jalen Naylor anytime. I already like this from a thought process. He's obviously the Bengals pass defense is porous, and Carson Wentz is playing. Naylor, let me pull up the Vikings here quickly. I'll go for like another 10 minutes here. Obviously, game time starting soon. Everybody wants to get themselves comfy on the couch. Also talking about, so it's funny, my buddy pulled up, so like he didn't have the ghost leg parlay. It's because the way that DK did it this week is you had to bet a $10 parlay on Thursday night to get the ghost leg for this week, which had a max bet of $5, because I'm sure they got kind of killed Obviously, it's a very player-friendly promo, but I would assume they did get a little bit killed, unfortunately, um, on that. Killed is obviously aggressive, as they're probably max of $5 and $10, but definitely a player-friendly promo if I had to assume there. Too much 265. You still have a 265 account. Like, I'll scroll a bit slowly, but all of these have good EV to, like, as you see the DVig books right here. Cam Ward anytime. I mean, no frame of reference, of course, but I'm absolutely betting this. I don't know what I'm talking about. Plus 850. The kid is a warrior, as any, tries hard, which everybody obviously does. But nah, I'm absolutely in on this. Cam Ward anytime, showing some value to profit. Penny, Novig as well with good liquidity. A lot of liquidity in the under there, but no. Yes, FanDuel is sharper in these things, but I'm absolutely betting that Cam Ward anytime touchdown. Let's add another one to the list, boys. Plus 850. Give me all of that. I have a no sweat. Max refund $50. I never get a $50 no sweat. What the hell happened here? 50 to win 425. Cam Ward anytime. Intrigued. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Okay, now we're good. Cam Ward anytime touchdown. Plus 850. Other no sweat. Okay, so we found another great bit of value right there. Boom. 2 no sweats. Beautiful. They're offering different promos and whatnot. So let's do another final run through. Max no sweat. Cam Ward anytime. Beautiful. AD Mitchell, I'm out on. This has been there for a minute. Kelsey again, Hard Rock 365 here. Still like this, honestly. Stafford under rush yards. I do think with potential for kneel down, so I think it's a strong enough case. I do need to say though, biggest shout out ever to Pick the Odds for sponsoring the stream and for finding all these bets for us. Like, obviously we're doing it manually, but this stuff is all calculated EV from their custom EV filters. You guys can try Pick the Odds for free. If you go to picktheodds.app, they have a free trial where you have everything that all of this EV calculations, all the stuff you can do for entirely free. Just capped at 2%, so you won't see these big ones, but you can very easily get 2% ARBs and 2% positive EV, build up your bankroll quickly. Then it's like $129 a month or something like that, where it pays for itself in 2 days of arbitrage. Like, so could not recommend Pick the Odds enough for some more serious gamblers in the chat here. If you're not using any tools, or if you have some tools and are looking for an upgrade or a pivot, Pick the Odds is absolutely should be so high on your list. I'm intrigued by this because while I obviously have Saquon anytime, Dylan was getting a good amount of snaps. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is a vulture there, but if the tush push isn't as potent as I suspected, did we bet Baker anytime? No, we laid off that, I think, but I think I might bet that now. 4.4% UV. To Novig Penny, to Novig and Profit. But again, no, I guess not. It's too widely available. But again, you would never. It's so much easier to find these things with Pick the Odds. Like, they do all the hard stuff for you, all the heavy lifting. Like, you're in charge of your own EV calcs, and from there, like, you can customize, you can test, you can see what's good, what's not good, what works, what doesn't work, and all of it is in one of the fastest platforms that you could possibly use for latencies and speeds. Nailing a time 375. We saw a better price earlier. Did we not? Yeah, 400 ESPN. That's a good bet. Renfro over receptions with Leggett out, who has terrible yardage numbers, but they throw him the ball for whatever freaking reason. This is a good price at DraftKings. This is definitely bettable. Absolutely, 3.1%. I like this a lot. Lamb plus 110 at ESPN. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have Lamb. I have a bunch of Lamb already, so not getting back in again on Lamb, but this is a great one for Lamb. Pickens over, which I love to see because I love Pickens today. Sanders, we talked about him earlier for maybe first tutty, but that's good. Goff over a rushing yard. Getting to the lower 2% here. Bill over, like, nah. I'm all in on that under. For receptions again, maybe because one catch, you could go over that, but I don't think he's going to catch the ball 2 times today. Then we got to some 1%, but there was one that stuck out to me that I wanted to bet. Another straight guy. Calvin Austin, 350. Can he have a price? Nah. Odunze over there. Where was it? Judkins under. No, we might have passed it. One more quick scroll here. Could have gone away as well. Jalen Naylor, I like. Oh, Renfro. I like this Renfro. Over 3.5. I'm betting it. I hate the Panthers offense, but they're using him. They're using him. Noah Leggett, who takes up targets. Game obviously I think could be a blowout. I'm betting this right now. Renfro, receptions, 3+. Let's see which line it is. 4+ plus 100. I'm in. Hunter Renfro, 4+ receptions. Boom. Locked and loaded. All right, let's I think that's it, boys. That's a great stream. That's a great amount of action. I've gone through it already a bunch of times. We have so many plays in. Let's capitalize and find some winners today. Best of luck to everybody. Enjoy your Sundays. Hope your favorite team wins and try pick the odds. I'll tweet out a link underneath right now that has the link to pick the odds that you can use again entirely for free to build your bankroll. I can't recommend it enough. It's really has been beyond helpful for myself and for all things gambling. It's one of the best tools on the market, and I've used 30+ of them. So just tweet out the link in a quote tweet, as well as a comment as well. So click the link underneath. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, Twitch, follow button. And if you're on X, make sure you're following at GoBetSmart. Also, make sure to go to YouTube and give us a follow, a subscribe on YouTube. We have a bunch of great content. If you guys don't like it, let me know in the comments. But we have outside of live videos, already 20+ videos on YouTube about. So shout out to everybody for being here. I appreciate you all. Have a great Sunday.